Hi, Shanna Rowe Jackson here from Caution Artists at Play, and today I am playing around a bit in my sketchbook and brushing up on my color mixing. This quick little exercise is twofold for me. I wanted to play around with color mixing because, well, I wanted to play around with color mixing. And I also want to play with gouache a bit since it has been a while. I almost didn't record this because this was just supposed to be a fun little exercise for me, but I thought it would be a good opportunity to talk a bit about the advantage to picking a limited color palette and mixing your own colors. Typically speaking, a limited color palette has around 5 or 6 or less colors, give or take if you like to include neutrals. Some people use more, some use less. This varies from person to person, but really a limited color palette means using very few colors. I am using the primary set by Holbein. It is in a CMYK, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black color scheme, but my set doesn't have the black in it. This video is not sponsored. I got these paints while in school. My professor got them for us with our studio fees because he considers these to be the primary colors for mixing. He didn't get us black because he wanted us to learn to mix our own, which I already knew how to do, so that's what I'm going to be doing here. I'm also using white to tint things and for highlights. So really, I'm only using 4 paints. I'm going to come in later with a black pen for fine lining, but other than that, all the black color will be mixed. Not that there's a lot in the piece. I don't really want to get into the debate on which colors are the primaries and which ones are not in this video because personally, I really don't care. I don't care either way. You can mix a multitude of colors with each scheme. Whether you are in the traditional camp where you see red, yellow, and blue as the primaries, or you like to use cyan, magenta, and yellow, it is up to you. It comes down to personal preference and color mixing style. I do recommend that you try both ways to see what you like. I mean, heck, I recommend you try all the different palettes out there. For me, I use both. It depends on the project. For this project, I really wanted bright, springy, summertime kind of colors, so I went with a CYMK. Some artists prefer a color wheel which incorporates all 6 as equal primaries. I mean, hey, the world is a crazy place. There are many books out there that talk about the different color wheels and different color schemes. James Gurney's Color and Light is an awesome book that touches on this subject, but there's a ton out there, so all you have to do is a search on Amazon. Honestly, I haven't used these paints since I took that class. I taught myself how to mix colors when I was really young, eons before I went to school. I was like 9 years old. So for me, color mixing has become really intuitive. I would just sit down and mix colors for hours to see what worked. As a result, I rarely ever use paint straight out of the tube, unless I'm really going for a highly saturated effect. Whether I work on a limited color palette or not, I always mix my colors. I never really paid attention to color theory until I was much older, and then it was really just a confirmation of why I was drawn to the things that I was already doing intuitively. However, I still like to brush up on my skills from time to time and try different ways of mixing. And now that I have learned about color theory, it's just another tool in my toolbox. And I think it is great to learn as a beginner. The important thing is that you learn how to mix colors and see how color relates to the piece that you are working on. Using a limited color palette will help you see color in a new way. It's tempting to buy a set of paint with every color out there, but I believe you will become a much more versatile artist and develop your own personal style quicker if you can learn how to mix colors for yourself. And that goes for any medium. You don't have to only limit your palette to primary colors, whichever primaries you go by, though it is a great place to start because the color combinations are endless. You can also limit your palette by using only secondary colors, which are colors mixed by 2 primaries, or using analogous colors, which are colors that are immediately next to each other on the color wheel, or you can just try using muted colors, etc. There's so many options out there. There's also personalized color palettes, such as the Zorn palette. The more you learn to mix, the more you will find your own style and your individual color palette. Over the years, I have found myself drawn to the same colors over and over again, and it has been an underlying key to my individual style. If you are new to color mixing, I do recommend getting a cheap color wheel to go by and to read books on color theory. The palette you choose can really affect the mood of your piece as well. What kind of message are you trying to convey? Cool colors tend to be more soothing, whereas warm colors can be more intense. Learning about colors and their perceived meanings can really help. Choose a palette of colors that you love and one that sets the mood for the particular piece that you are working on. The possibilities are endless. The important thing is that you are using a set amount of colors so that you are having to mix a lot. This not only helps you hone your mixing skills, but it also leads to a more cohesive piece. Having a set color scheme gives your piece an anchor so that all the elements can relate to each other more easily color-wise. Using a colored underpainting can do this as well, but that's another subject. Don't get me wrong, you don't have to stick to a limited color palette all the time, though some artists do and it becomes part of their personal style. I just think at the very least, it's a great exercise, especially while you're still learning. You've seen me work in a limited color palette before in my video where I used Casein for the first time. I used the Richardson underpainting set, which had Payne's Gray, Raw Umber, Burnt Sienna, Yellow Ochre, Cad Red Pale, and Permasol Blue, I believe. So it was 6 colors, and then I also used white. And that was all that I needed to create the pale greens and kind of like the nice warm browns and that black background that I was looking for my still life. And it also created an all-over cohesiveness because all the colors were mixed from some variation of those same colors, and so the whole thing kind of took on a nice warm unified almost antique look that I was really looking for that piece. And the bonus was when I bought those colors, I bought them specifically because they are colors that I use quite often in all my work, and so as I build my Casein collection, I will have my favorite colors already built into the collection. But just using that one set, I was able to get a really good piece that I was really excited about. With this piece, my reference was taken on a bright sunny day. There were a lot of bright greens mixed with some pale greens, and I wanted the challenge of being able to mix all those different greens. I also welcomed the challenge of mixing the beautiful kind of blue color that you're seeing in that dark blue blueberry, and to mix the black for the little bit that is in the background. I didn't set out to make a perfect finished piece. I set out to mix colors and to play with my gouache. I also wanted the piece to feel like summer with a lot of warmth and like a lot of just like fun greens, and I wanted it to be really, really bright. Not necessarily completely saturated because the sunlight was so bright that day that things kind of washed out a little bit, and that's really kind of how I remember it when I took the reference photo. So that was kind of the mood that I was going for. And I decided to kind of bring in a fine liner later on and to outline things because I knew that there wasn't a huge variation in values in my reference. So I had already decided ahead of time that I was going to make this piece feel a little bit more illustrative. So I do end up bringing in black later on to kind of make that pop and do an outline. I probably could have done a better job in a medium that I'm more experienced in, like acrylics, but again, I wanted to practice with gouache because I don't really work with this medium very often. And so I thought that this would be a good opportunity to kind of break these paints out. As I said, I hadn't really used them since I was in school, and I mean, I just got out of school not long ago, but this class was a while back, so it's been a couple of years probably since I used these particular paints. And I did feel like I got a lot of practice with gouache, though I'm definitely not an expert in it. For some reason, I always feel like it's going to be acrylic, and then I end up lifting things that I don't want to lift, and so that was something that I was trying to be conscious of here, so I worked thin and worked my way up thick. I find that to be the easiest way for me to work with gouache. So this isn't necessarily a piece that I would sell, but it was perfect for a sketchbook exercise, and I got exactly what I wanted out of the experience. And the skills that I gained or brushed up on in this piece can be carried over to future projects. And so I think that's really important to keep in mind. I mean, that's what sketchbooks are for. And definitely had a great time mixing with these colors. I recommend this set, even if you just want to try it out, even if you don't believe these are the primaries. Like I said, I really don't care either way. You can mix a ton of colors from these 3 colors, as you can see, including a pretty true blue. So that's something to keep in mind. You can actually mix blue. I think yellow is really the only primary that you can't mix, and it's really the only steady primary, like, across the board at this point. But again, I don't want to get into that because it's semantics. Pick the colors that you love the most and mix with those. That's really what it comes down to. But definitely experiment so that you can figure out what those colors are, what colors you like the most, and what suits your work the best. Okay, so this is the final piece. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Do you, excuse me, ever work in a limited color palette? If so, let me know in the comments what your favorite limited color palette is. All right, thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye. Here is this week's artwork of the week. For more information on this piece or to purchase it directly, follow the link in the description below. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you like what you see, please hit subscribe. Also, if you're interested in seeing more of my artwork, I'm on social media, so check out the links in the description below.